Hi guys, so I'm back again with another video, and today we are going to be making plantain frittata. Very simple, very tasty. If you're interested, keep watching. For this recipe, we'll be needing plantains, ripe plantains. I've got 6 eggs. I've got sausages, chicken franks. I've got bell peppers, the red, the green bell pepper, and I've got onions and some tomatoes. I've also got mixed spice, chili pepper, salt, and olive oil. Feel free to use any oil you want and other seasonings as well. Next, we'll be cutting our plantains. We'll be peeling the back off and then cutting it. It's more like slicing it, into tiny bits. Just slicing it. You're going to see me do what I'm trying to explain now. So just like so, I'm just going to slice the plantains and put them in the bowl. I also want to add that you can slice the plantains anyhow you want. It doesn't have to be in circular shapes like this. You can also slice it the normal way we slice plantains when we want to fry them. But I prefer slicing mine this way because I think it looks better, with the recipe. So do what you want to do, but this is what I wanted to do. So now I'm done with slicing the plantains. I'm just going to add some salt and some olive oil and toss everything together so that the oil and the salt will touch every plantain piece in there. And I'm going to set that aside. So now I'm transferring the plantains to an already lined baking tray for baking. This is what makes this recipe healthy, or rather healthier, because instead of frying it in oil, we are just going to grill it. You can also use the air fryer, but I'll be using oven for this recipe. So now I'm transferring the plantains to an already preheated oven, and I'm going to grill it for about 12 to 15 minutes, but I'll keep checking on it so it doesn't burn. So while the plantains are in the oven grilling, I'm going to go ahead and prep my vegetables. So I'll just be cutting up the bell peppers, the green and red bell pepper, the tomato, the onions, and the chicken franks, that is the sausages. But at this point, I want to say you can use any vegetables you want. You can use more bell peppers, maybe the orange and the yellow ones. And you can use only the red ones, you can use only the green ones. This just adds color to it, and the more bell peppers you use, it will also add more color to it. The more colored bell peppers that you use would also add more colors to it. Also, feel free to add more, vegetables. Like as I'm using half of a bell pepper, you can go ahead and use one whole bell pepper. I just want this, for the quantity of plantain frittata I am making. This was perfect for me, but as usual, you can do what you want to do. So guys, if you've watched up to this point and you've not already subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell so you are told, or rather notified, whenever I post new videos, because I will be posting more videos, and I have a lot of videos and recipes to share with you guys. So please subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell. also want to add that you can use any protein of choice. You can use chicken breasts, you can even use sardines, or maybe fish, mackerel fish for this recipe. It doesn't have to be sausages. Like you can even use beef or gizzards. Like, it just depends on what you want. It doesn't have to be chicken franks or sausages. You can use any protein that you want. And if you want, you can even skip the whole protein part and just do only the vegetables. So now I have my vegetables prepped. So we're going to move on to the next step. Add oil to the frying pan and add onions. I added some of the onions to the frying pan because at the end of my cooking, I still want to see some onions that are not fully cooked. So this is a personal preference, but feel free to do what you want. So stir the onions or fry it till fragrant. And then I'm going to go ahead and add the bell peppers and keep stirring. This point, you can totally skip it, but it builds up the flavor. And so that when you mix everything with the egg and you bake it, it has more flavor and it's more delicious. But you can also cut up the vegetables and just mix them with the egg and bake it. But I love going through this process because it makes it more delicious. Now add the chicken franks and keep stirring the whole thing. Like, this is like a stir fry. So you're going to be stirring a lot so that it doesn't burn, it doesn't stick to the pot. You just want it to come out perfect. So you just keep stirring and stirring and stirring. The next thing to add are the tomatoes. So I'm just going to add the tomatoes and I'll keep stirring. Like I said, you do a lot of stirring in this recipe because you don't want this, the vegetables to burn. You just want it to be good and perfect. So just keep stirring and it will turn out fine. Now add the salt, the chili pepper, and the mixed herbs. You can go ahead and use seasoning cubes or even curry powder or maybe ginger powder and garlic powder. But I prefer my eggs with less seasoning. I just use salt and pepper most times. It's even for the purpose of this recipe that I'm using mixed herbs, but feel free to add whatever seasoning you want to add to yours. Now I'm going to add the remaining onions. If you remember, I didn't add all my onions at the beginning when I added the onions. So now I'm going to add the remaining ones and give this whole mixture a final stir. And then I would set it aside and move on to the next step. So I also want to add that at this point, you can also crack your eggs, whisk them, and add them to this stir fry that is in the frying pan, and just top it up with your plantains and cover it up to cook on the stove top. Assuming you don't have an oven or you don't really want to bake it, you can also do that process, just top up the eggs or rather add the eggs and top it up with the plantains and cover it up, and it will still cook and set. So it depends on what you want to do. Now my plantains are ready, so I'm just going to get that out of the oven and set it aside. Now I'm going to crack my eggs, and I'll be careful so the eggshell doesn't go into the eggs. So now I'll be using a whisk to whisk the egg. I'm just going to make sure that the egg is properly beaten, like beat the eggs. So I'm going to make sure the eggs are properly beaten. So now that I'm done whisking the eggs, I'm going to transfer it to a bigger bowl, and then I'm going to bring the vegetables and the sausages that I stir-fried earlier. At this point, it has already cooled down. You don't want to add a piping hot mixture to the egg, or else it's going to cook right there in the bowl. So I'm going to introduce it, or rather transfer it to the bowl with the eggs and give it a good mix, so that everything mixes properly. And yeah, that's it. So when you're done mixing, just transfer the egg mixture to an oiled baking dish. Make sure you oil your baking dish before transferring this mixture. This will just enable it, come out cleanly when you're done baking the egg mixture. And the next thing to do is to transfer the plantains, to the pan, just placing them on top of the mixture. You can use as much plantains as you want. It all depends on what you want, but I wanted more eggs and less plantains, so that's why I'm using a smaller baking dish and less plantains. Now transfer the baking dish to the oven and allow that to bake until it is set. After about 40 minutes, I went back to the oven to see if the eggs were done. So how I did this was I used skewers. You can use toothpick to check it, and I just poked the eggs with the skewers, and when it came out clean, I knew that the eggs were done. So I just took them out of the oven and set it aside to cool down. So here we have it, guys. Our healthy plantain frittata is ready. So go ahead and serve it up and have it as your breakfast. It is very filling and it is very delicious. So guys, we've come to the end of this video. Please don't forget to like, comment and share this video. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.